Hi, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Vijeta, and today we shall be doing some more questions of UGC NET Paper 1. They are mixed questions, so let us begin. Absence of timely guidance and less remuneration is which type of barrier? It's a management barrier, and this kind of question can be asked a lot in mostly in the teaching aptitude section, and this is a mathematical question, and I want you all to solve it. In a school, the number of girls is more than that of the boys. The strength of the school is 66. If more girls are admitted to the school, what will be the ratio of the number of boys to that of girls? It's 3 is to 4, and it's a mathematical question, and these kind of questions can be asked, so keep that in mind. The University Grants Commission (UGC) in India serves as the primary regulatory body for higher education. In which of the following ways does the UGC maintain and coordinate university education? It provides recognition to universities in India and disburses funds to such recognized universities and colleges. We know about UGC and how we are actually preparing for the NET exam, and the funds that the JRF candidates get, they are actually the funds that are dispersed by UGC, and even universities and colleges which are recognized, they are also provided the same fund for students. So yeah, that's the body, very important body in some ways. Adolescent learners are more susceptible to peer pressure, while adult learners are less susceptible to peer pressure. And it's a very well known fact. Adolescent learners are still developing, their prefrontal cortex or PFCs are not developed, and they are still children. While adult learners are less likely to be influenced by external pressure or external influences. However, adult learners are also influenced, but not at the same rate as that of the adolescent learner. And that is the defining quality which defines the adolescent learners and adult learners. This kind of question can be asked. Simple question, yet sometimes people do get confused. Which of the following best describes the purpose of using ANOVA in research? It's a research methodology question, and ANOVA is used to compare the means of more than two groups. That is the purpose of ANOVA. Where in Tamil Nadu has Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone for Indian Space Research Organization's ISRO second spaceport on 2024 February? It's Pattinam. Pattinam. Apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that is the place, and this can be asked because it's kind of a current affairs question, and these kind of questions are generally asked more often. Things that have occurred in the recent timeline. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep brushing over your newspapers and headlines and stuff like that. Select the alternative which consists of positive factors contributing to the effectiveness of teaching. I have included the right alternatives. Teacher's knowledge of the subject, obviously very important. Communication skills of the teacher, very yet more important. Teachers' competence in managing and monitoring the classroom transactions, exactly, very, very important. The last two are actually very important. Knowledge of the subject, a lot of people possess knowledge of the subject. However, to convey that is an art and it's a skill in itself. So you have to keep that in mind. One of the major characteristics of good governance is that it is autocratic. That's a false statement. And this can be asked actually, statement 1 and statement 2. So, an RTI, right to information, is one of the tools of good governance. That's the right statement. That's a right answer, right statement. Which of the following are the UNDP Sustainable Development Goals? They are quality education, reduced inequalities, industry, innovation and infrastructure, and gender equalities. These are the UNDP Sustainable Development Goals. Very easy if you actually see the alternatives that are given. They are most generally given in a negative light, so you won't have any problems in, you know, choosing the right answer. Although, just read the question carefully. Sometimes things are written in such a language that you might get confused. You need to have good vocabulary skills. Sometimes questions are written, or answers or statements are written in a very convoluted, I might say, in such a manner that it might appear a positive statement, but underneath it might be subtly a negative statement, something like that. So keep that in mind. Which of the following statements is true regarding Rome? I have written the right statements. Rome is a volatile memory and it is not typically used for the storage of firmware like BIOS. It cannot be easily written or modified. That's an information and technology question. And simple question at that. Just remember these features of Rome so that you are able to identify the correct statements when you are asked to do so. Because the features of ROM and RAM, they can be quite confusing at times. And yeah, I think, yeah, I repeated the question. There is one more option, which is the correct one, that ROM does not refer to the main memory used by programs in execution. It's not the main memory. It cannot be easily rewritten or modified. It's not used for BIOS, and it's a volatile memory. Just keep these keywords in mind, it will help you to remember. According to classical Indian school of logic, what is the correct sequence of steps involved in Anuman or inference? It's Pratijna, Hetu, Udharan, Upanaya, Nigamana. PHUUN. Okay? Fun, if you want to remember it like that. Pratijna, Hetu, Udharana, Upanaya, and Nigamana. Udharan, you can say that D comes before P, so you can remember like that. So PHUUN is fun. Okay? This, these acronyms can actually help you, or you can devise a song or something like that, a riddle kind of. But yeah. Podcasting is a website that contains content organized like a journal or diary. That's a false statement, and most of you might know that what podcast is. This is like a blog or something. What is described here? Like you have WordPress and all. That is something that contains the content which is organized like a journal or a diary. But podcasting is not. Webcasting is the dissemination of recorded or live content over the internet. Webcatting, it's webcasting. A small typo. USA is 35% Protestant. Gerard William is an American. Therefore, Gerard William is 35% Protestant. Which fallacy is committed in this argument? It's fallacy of composition. Okay, just because the whole country is 35% Protestant, therefore Gerard William is 35% Protestant. It's like you are just, it's the fallacy of composition. The amount you are directly correlating with the person's belief system to the percentage of the people present in the country. So these kind of questions generally fall under fallacy of composition. An investigator wants to study the vocational aspirations of visually challenged in a wide geographical area. He should select his sample by using purposive sampling because he wants to know he wants to know about the visually challenged people. So the people he should go for, the people he should survey or select for his sampling should be the people who are actually visually challenged, and therefore he needs to have a purpose in sampling. He just can't take random people and have a random sampling session. So therefore, if he has a particular purpose, a particular objective, which that means he needs to go for purposive sampling. So if these kind of questions are asked when people specifically tell you what kind of a survey they wish to conduct, generally it comes under purposive sampling. Explicit memory is best represented as algorithm used in AI programming, while implicit memory is represented in the form of machine learning weights. That is the difference between explicit memory and implicit memory. A lot of times, this, in the context of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, the concepts of explicit and implicit memory best represented. These kind of questions can be asked because AI is something very new, and UGC likes to include newer concepts. So, explicit memory is algorithm, implicit memory is machine learning weights. Why is it necessary to remove sulfur from petroleum products? To reduce the emissions of sulfur dioxide and exhaust fumes. And if you reduce sulfur dioxide, it will evidently lead to a reduction of acid rain, and how that can reduce Taj Mahal and other architectural buildings and even plants and crops from getting destroyed or, depleted over time. So that is why sulfur is removed from petroleum products, so that sulfur dioxide is not emitted in the exhaust fumes. Classroom communication depends on the selection of appropriate teaching styles. Very correct. It is objective oriented and directly relates to acquiring knowledge or developing new skills. See, both the statements are true. There's no doubt about that. However, the second statement is not the correct explanation of the first. Both of the statements independently are quite true. Classroom communication does depend on the selection of appropriate teaching styles. Yeah, but it is objective oriented and directly relates to acquiring knowledge or developing new skills. That is completely a different kind of a statement. And if you read closely, you will find that from the onset it might seem correlated, but if you read closely, you will see that both of the statements are talking about adhering to different things. So keep that in mind, okay? Agenda 21 specified that the local communities or natives should be treated as custodians of their environment and natural resources. The growing usage and limited supply of water was one of the issues addressed at the Earth Summit. The famous aftermath of the report, Our Common Future, which is the Earth Summit, that A Common Future was the report in the Earth Summit, and these two features, usage and limited supply of water, and how Agenda 21 specified that natives and communities should be the custodians of their natural resources. These are the things that were discussed, and these are the things that came out of the report, which is called Our Common Future in the Earth Summit. Keep that in mind. These questions are asked a lot, what happened in this summit, or what happened in that summit. So, that is something. A teacher's ability to efficiently plan, organize, and execute instructional activities is most closely related to which of the following cognitive abilities? That's metacognition. Because a teacher is planning and organizing something according to the needs and levels of the students. If a teacher wants to introduce, say, American history or something like that, he might think about how to go for it. If he knows that his students are more of a visual learner, uh, come under a more of a visual learning category, he might start with showing them Gone with the Wind or some that movie, and then going through other aspects, so it all comes under metacognition, because he knows his students, how they process information, how they take information, how that information stays with them. So how he organizes, how he selects the materials, how he executes the instruction activities, they all come under metacognition. Okay. Which of the following practices is an effective way to avoid plagiarism in research? Appropriately citing the sources of all quotations, ideas, or data taken from others. Which of the following is a key recommendation of the National Education Policy NEP 2020 for reforming the higher education system in India? Increasing the gross enrollment ration in higher education to 50% by 2035. There are two L's in enrollment. That's a little typo there. So, we conclude the lecture today here, and I hope you liked the questions, the presentation. If you liked it, give it a like, share, subscribe with your fellow students. And if you have watched my video, thank you so much for watching. And I will meet you all in the next video. Thank you.